Good afternoon and welcome to the Mary Jane Gardening Club shop. I'm Bill and today we're going to be building a simple enclosure to rodent-proof our tray that we use to start seedlings in. So this particular tray is about 28 by 20 give or take. So I think I'm going to build the enclosure about 3 feet by about 2 feet and by about 2 feet tall. That way my wife will have plenty of room to work with her plants and they can get nice and big. So today we're going to be using a material, it's just a 2x2, it's a simple piece of Doug fir. You can pick them up at your local home improvement store. These are not very fancy, they're pretty inexpensive. And we're going to use today, because I'm in my shop, we're going to use my table saw to cut everything, but you can also use a very simple skill saw. This happens to be a battery powered one, a little hand powered miter box with a saw so you can cut different angles, so you choose, or just a plain hand saw. So what we're going to do is start cutting up some pieces, and once I get them cut, we'll come back to the video and tell you what we've done. All right, so I've got one frame assembled already. This is one end frame, so you can kind of get an idea how big this thing's going to be. So in order to assemble the frames, I just put the two pieces together. I'm going to pre-drill one screw right in the end. A little dab of glue, just a titch, not much. You don't need a whole lot here. Line everything up. Use my screw. And again, they'll move around a little bit because we're not pre-drilling it all the way through everything. Not going to really matter. And we'll repeat that process on all 3 corners, all 4 corners. We got one done. We'll repeat that process through the rest of them. We'll have the second frame built, and then we'll start assembling the actual box. Okay, you can see we've got the carcass almost assembled. The assembly method is the same as everything else. Line up your pieces. Pre-drill a hole. It can get a little tricky now because you got screws going through this in different directions. If you hit a spot it won't go, just move over and put another one in. They don't have to be dead center. A little bit of glue in there, just kind of help hold everything together. Get your screws started, line it up, and drive it home, and there's your carcass built. The next step is we're going to make a door for one side of this, and then we'll get ready to wrap it with the hardware cloth. Okay, so we've got our frame all assembled, our door frame's all assembled. Now we're just going to attach the hinges. I'm just using a real simple little 2-inch strap, or just a 2-inch flat hinge. Some people call them strap hinges. Going to place it on the top here. Going to move it in. I like to move my hinges in just to make it look good, 2 inches in from the edge. And then you can slip this out, but you can line it up by eye. It's pretty much easy to do. Just line up the center of the hinge with the joint. Comes with the screws. Screw it in, no big deal. Again, we're not building a piano here. Make sure it's straight so it doesn't work loose. It's a pretty good sized door, so it'll have plenty of leverage to move in and out if we need it to. Line itself up. The idea here is you could go to a lot of trouble making an inside fitting door, but I'll show you why I didn't do that in just a moment. So if you make a door that fits inside, it'll only open up 90 degrees. This one will open up all the way out of your way. So when you're working with your plants or whatever, you can put a little hook on here so it doesn't come down, smack you in the head. But that's the reason for putting it here. So, and then if you forget to close it, it closes. I'm just going to do a simple hook and eye right here on the side, on each side to hold it shut. Next thing we're going to do is wrap it with hardware cloth, and I'll explain that in just a minute. So here's our hardware cloth we're going to cover this thing in. I got 24-inch wide with 1/4-inch galvanized hardware cloth. I've seen mice get through some incredibly small spaces, so this has very small holes in it. You could probably get away with 1/2 inch or 3/8. I got 1/4. It's a galvanized material. There's a couple of ways you can put it on. You can put it on with a staple gun. This happens to be a cordless electric staple gun, and just pop, 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 pop. I also have a pneumatic staple gun that works. You can get some short screws with a flat head on them, and you can put it on with screws. Many different ways to attach it. Just be extremely careful when you're working with this stuff. It has tons of sharp edges and it will rip you apart. One good way to do it is when you're putting it on is always put it on face down. I call it face down because it wants to curve one way or another. When you put it on face down, you can work those edges over and it doesn't want to curl up on you so bad. I'm going to cut one piece. I'm going to lay it out and get one piece cut, and then I'll show you how we attach it. All right, so you can see now we've got the screen on all four of the long sides. I merely just laid it up over the top, stapled it in the corner, stretched it out, and did the best I could to make it, somewhat tight and clean and neat. So now we're going to do the ends, and the ends are a little bit easier. I'm just going to cut a 2-foot square of this material, slap it on there, staple it up. Make sure I don't overlap my door so it'll still open up. That'll be important. And then we'll put the latches on the door, and this box will be finished. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the 2 pieces of cloth. It's already 2 foot wide, so you just got to cut some 2-foot strips off of it, which shouldn't be hard. And when you're cutting it, you can I use these big tin snips. They work really nice. It's just like cutting it with scissors. You can use regular tin snips. You can use cheap regular scissors. Will cut this fine wire like this. This stuff's not too heavy, but it'll be kind of hard on your hands. Or you can just use a pair of wire cutters and snip each piece individually. It'll take you a long time, but it'll get the job done. Again, the idea is to build it with what tools you may or may not have, which tools you may have around your place, and not have a whole bunch of stuff. I do a lot of work in my shop, and so I have a lot of different tools laying around for doing different jobs. So sometimes it's easier and sometimes it's harder. Thanks. All right, so I got the last end piece cut. I'm just going to show you real quick how I put it on. Remember how I told you to put it on face down? This is what I mean by face down. If you try to put it on this way, it's going to be coming back and hitting you in the face, and it hurts. So you want to get it up here on the corner somewhere. You want to check, because this is our door side, so we're going to hold it up a little bit so we clear our door. And even if it sticks over a little bit, it won't hurt them. We'll just tap it down a little bit. Grab your staple gun or whatever method you're using to attach your wire, and bang, there you go. Come over to the other corner. Lay it out the same way. You want to kind of get it where you want it. Pull it somewhat tight. This cloth isn't real straight and square, but it works. So, and then I put a staple about every 3 inches. This happens to be a little cordless staple gun I picked up this year. Started to get a little arthritis in my hands, so it's getting hard to squeeze things. You're going to just pull it down this way, get her as tight as you can, and give her a couple shots in the corner. And we're just going to go along the bottom here, like that. You'll see it's got a little pump in it. You just work it out as you're going along. Go. Sign the same thing up the side. I'm going to do the top here real quick and show you the last little thing you can do to make it look nice. You see my stapler's almost going dead. You see that wire sticking up over the top? This right here, if you try to trim that off, it's going to get all sharp and nasty. Just take a hammer and tap it over. Again, this stuff it says it's 2 foot wide. It might be a little wider, it might be a little narrower. But there you go. I'm going to finish stapling this off, and then I'll put the latches on it. We'll show you how that goes. All right, so we're just about to the end of this thing. You can see the box is all fully enclosed with wire. The door opens and closes to give you access to your plants. And then to secure it, I'm just going to use a simple hook and loop, just like you'd have on an old patio door or a screen door somewhere. Just going to mount it right here on the sides. I'm going to pre-drill a hole right here, just so I don't bust anything, split anything out. Screw my eye in. Usually you can do these by hand. You can use the actual lever for a little bit of help if you need it, if your hands are getting old and weak like mine are. Whoop. Get that one upside down, so we'll have to either go back a turn. There we go. All right, so this is always the fun part, trying to figure out where to put this. But you want this over here, and you want that about, so let's see, let's find us a pencil. Shop's a mess. So I usually try to put them, try to get them level. So that's about where you want the edge of your eye. So if you kind of look, your eye probably gonna go about right there. So I'm gonna put a little mark. I'm gonna drill a little hole. And we'll screw it in and we'll see if I guessed right. Because most of this is really just trial and error. Make or break make your project look good or make it look crummy if you got a zillion little holes in here, but it really is just, and I missed it by a mile. So there you go, because I went on the wrong side of the hole. But that's all right. We'll just take it out and we'll move over to the other side of the hole. I should have thought about that a little bit. I'm trying to get it tighter, not looser. So we're going to move on this side of my mark a little bit. I think a little bit. Try it again here. And again, you can kind of tap these with a hammer and kind of bend them around a little bit and get them where you want them to be. You want them tight, but not too tight. See there? Look at that. Perfect. That's not going to come out. Nothing's going to be able to lift it. And there you go. So I'm going to put another one on the other side, but there's a rodent-proof box to grow your plants in. Couple of things to be, anytime you're using power tools, make sure you understand how to use them and make sure you wear the proper safety equipment, glasses and such have you. When you're working with this wire, it'll tear your hands up. If you've got soft hands, wear gloves. I've got old mechanic hands, so it doesn't really bother me too much. And I learned this the hard way one day. If you're building this in like a basement workshop or something like that, make sure you can get it out the door. I built a big cabinet. This one I ended up building, I had to cut down because I can't get it out of my shop, nor can I put it where it belongs. So this is Bill with the Mary Jane Gardening Club Shop. Hope you enjoyed the show.